Hello everyone, welcome to today's Novedge webinar, Bill of Quantities from BIM Models. Developed to create your project's bill of quantities, Open BIM Quantities is based on BIM models that have been defined using the IFC standards. Stick with our Novedge webinar to discover how this amazing tool works. Today's presenter, Pablo Gilabert Boronat, is the Director of Innovation at CYPE Software, so is the right person to ask questions to. And I also want to show you a little bit, to show you the place where you can find Open BIM Quantities on our website. Go to novedge.com. Novedge is changing the way designers purchase 3D software, offering more choices, more freedom, best advice, and faster service. Check us out. We're always here for you. You can call us at any time. And now, without further ado, I will switch my screen so Pablo can start his presentation. Take it away, Pablo. We can see your screen now.
Okay, can you hear me as well?
Perfectly.
Perfect. So, first of all, thank you, Barbara, for giving us the possibility to share with you, the power of this tool. And I will try to demonstrate in less than 1 hour why we say this Open BIM Quantities is an amazing tool. So let's start with the presentation. And today we are going to talk about Bill of Quantities from BIM Models. And my name is Pablo Gilabert. I'm the Innovation Director at CYPE. If you have any questions, or as Barbara said, please send it, type in this webinar tool, and we will try to answer them at the end of the presentation. Okay. Well, short introduction, and maybe some of you don't know us, so some global numbers. We are CYPE. We have more than 36 years of experience developing software focused on different areas like structures, building services, energy efficiency, bill of quantities. In all this time, we got more than 140,000 users. We are more than 200 professionals here in Spain. We are in a time zone, a good time zone, as you say, located in Alicante. And then we have more than 30 distributors all over the world, like in this case, in Novedge in the USA. Something really important for us is that we are quite active in participating in research projects, trying to integrate the latest technology in our solutions. So this is something we try to share with our customers. Okay, so today we are going to talk about BIM, Building Information Modeling, and I'm sure most of you already know what BIM is. Today we are not going to talk about the typical things. These slides are quite common in all the presentations where BIM is the concept we talk about. So usually we talk about dimensions, LOD, level of development, the different phases in a project. Today I will try to talk about, of course, 3D modeling. We are going to talk about digital construction. This is almost mandatory, but I will try to focus talking about the productivity, because I think this is the most important thing when we try to implement a new technology, a new methodology as BIM, trying to do the same projects with better quality in less time. So how we are going to do that? Well, firstly, I think I need to share some other information about our ecosystem in order to know how it works. We are trying to follow this kind of Open BIM workflow. So we have this ecosystem composed by more than 150 applications, sharing information between them. So what we have done is trying to create some kind of workflow where we can share information from MEP solutions, with structure solutions, with quantity solutions, with any kind of area. And the core here is a platform called BIM Service Center. The most important thing here is that the important part of an open BIM project is not the software you are using, it's the data, it's how you manage this data. So in our proposal, you can work with any kind of solution you have been working till now. You can work with Revit, ArchiCAD, with some other solutions from Autodesk. You can work with our own solutions, and there is a compatibility between all of them. But okay, how it works? BIM server.center. I will show you how it works, this platform. If we go to the platform, to the URL BIMserver.center, we have this website, and I will log in. You can log in for free. You can use it for free. And here I have some different options. I will show you first of all this one, the store. Here you can download almost 150 applications, I think, from many different areas. Focus on architecture, focus on engineering, structural analysis, bill of quantities, electrical systems, all the areas we need to work when we define a project. But today we are going to focus on this one, Open BIM Quantities. You can come here and download it for free. And then there is a license you need to pay if you want to use the power of this, the different features of this tool. So we have this store as first option. So I would like to invite you to have a look. We have a lot of free solutions. If you need to solve something, let's say, okay, I want to do some sanitary or water or whatever, we have solutions for almost everything in order to control the Wi-Fi signal in the different parts of your building. If you want to check the fire analysis, we have a lot of different solutions for the fire extinguishing elements and so on. So have a look to this store. Then the second part I would like to show you is the projects, this one. Here in my case, I have a lot of different projects. Some of them are professional projects. Some of them focus on the structures. Some others in, the urban scale, building services, architectural, etc. And here you can work and collaborate with your partners working in an open BIM project. So let me show you one example. Today we are going to have a look to a couple of projects. In this case, this is an intro open BIM. It's a tower block. And here we have uploaded different files focused on different areas. We have one file with the solar thermal installation project, another one with the structures, with architectural model, the landscape, etc. And we are able to share this information with all our work team, managing the different roles of each one and so on. No? It's a common data environment, but focus on the needs of working with BIM and with open data. So here you will be able to work with any kind of solution, any kind of software, able to manage open data. So we can come here, we have some kind of structures of layers, so we can display and put it in different types of visualization, transparent, activating or deactivating the landscape and all the different layers of the project. Now I want to check the lighting, so I can control it here. Even I can check the results. But what I want to do today is getting this whole all this information and import it in a software focus on the generation of the bill of quantities. So how I'm going to do that? Let's go again to this presentation. So, the general workflow in a BIM project is working with the architecture, then sending it to the engineer in charge of the structures, and the same with the engineers in charge of the building facilities. So we are trying to work in in the same line. The good point of working with BIM Server is that we are sharing and we are updating in real time all this data. So we can consider what my partner is doing in real time in order to avoid inconsistencies. But the good point here is that I can get all this information with an external software and read the data of measurements of all the different elements. I don't mind if it comes from one software of architectural design, one software of structural analysis, or building facilities. I will be able to import all these models in order to get the global bill of quantities. And this is something we can do because we are following this idea of working with open BIM federated models. So we can create the BIM project based on different models generated by different tools. So the workflow in the end will be something like this. We can start a project with a physical 3D model, the architectural design. I will import it and I will get the IFC quantities and IFC properties. In Open BIM Quantities, I will make a connection with a cost database and I will create some filters in order to make this link between construction items with IFC entities. In the end, what we will have is the project budget. Here, we are able to import the bill of quantities generated by all the different applications which we can find in BIM Server. These different applications, they have a specific tab in order to create the quantities of this area. So we can import and we can merge the whole budget in Open BIM Quantities. So let's see how it works. Okay, I told you before we are going to work with two different projects. I would like to show you briefly the global workflow, and then I will show you it slowly. But first, I will start with this project, which is the Cube House. Is placed in Ithaca, and it has been designed by the architect Simon Hungers. I like this project. It's in the state of New York because it's a really basic project, and it can help us to identify, how the system works. So let's say that we are going to start with a design. We have this solution, which is CYPE architecture. It's a free solution. Here we can design our model. We can introduce, different elements like walls, windows, roofs, stairs, etc. Even some other elements like furniture or garden elements, sanitary appliances, etc. Here we can manage different possibilities for visualization, the sections and so on. And once I have done the design, I have this tab here in order to export it to BIM Server. I'm going to do that in order to share it with my partners, with my colleagues. So once I want to share it, I can export it, and another person will be able to import this data in this software, which is Open BIM Quantities. If I go to Open BIM Quantities, this is the Open BIM Quantities tool. I will be able to import this data. I can visualize the same model. And according to all the entities we have in the project, we have columns, we have doors, we have railings, roofs, slabs, different spaces, etc. I can make a link with some items with a cost, you know. And according to this connection, I will be able to obtain the global quantity, the bill of quantities. And even I have the possibility of considering the energy costs, the CO2 emissions, you know, environmental data. I can also consider the waste generated if I include this data in my database. So here we can visualize the structures, and we can consider, okay, all these columns has a cost of $400, you know, and the emissions are, well, these parameters can be visualized automatically. And the same for all the claddings, you know, the paintings, the roofs, the insulation and waterproofing elements. So I can make this link. You know, what we are doing is making a connection between a database with the graphical entities of a BIM model or a couple of BIM models. So I will show you, well, then once we have this, we can generate different reports. We can generate a report with the environmental impact indicators in order to control and to make this analysis of which element is generating more CO2 emissions. But also we can generate, you know, a report with the quantities, with the cost breakdown structure, different templates we have of reports, you know. Okay, so this is the general workflow, and I will do it slowly. And for that, I will use another project. I don't know where it's located. I think it's somewhere in Europe, but this is a tower block. And I will show you slowly how this process works. We have already seen different models in BIM server. We are in CYPE architecture, and here I have the possibility of defining, you know, this information. When I specify that I want to introduce a new wall, I can specify, okay, this is a wall, I don't know, 428, is in the level 5, and it has some properties. We can include new properties. This is the thickness, and this is the color. This is some information we can introduce for all the different elements in my project. You know, this is a column with some information, and this is a window, you know. So we are specifying a kind of digital construction, defining all the elements of my project. Then inside, I have the possibility of including furniture, stairs, and whatever we need to generate the plans, to generate the drawings, and so on. From here, we have the possibility of visualizing different, you know, views, you know, from every single floor or from the different elevations and so on. Well, once we have the project done, we export, as we have already seen, we export to the cloud, and then I will start a new project in BIM server. I have the project here, but I will start it again. So I will create a new project, Novedge, okay, accept. And now I have to select between all the different projects I have in the cloud. I have in my CDE. So the name of this project is Intro Open BIM. So I select this one, accept. And the software is going to identify all the BIM models I have in this project. So I will be able to select all of them and to measure all of them at the same time. But I will show you, first of all, how to measure just one of them, CYPE architecture, and I will add new layers later on, okay? So I select CYPE architecture model. So now the software is going to obtain all the data of the graphical entities I have specified in CYPE architecture. If you have a question, can I import it a BIM model from any kind of solution, you know, Bentley, Trimble, Autodesk, whatever. From Revit, you know, it's architectural design, but also from some other focus on infrastructures. There is no problem if we are able to.
I have a question, Pablo. How about Vectorworks?
Okay. No problem at all.
Perfect.
We just need one IFC.
Perfect.
If you are able to generate one IFC, we can read this data. Okay.
Great.
So even you can merge different models. One coming from Vectorworks, another one coming from CYPE, another one coming from whatever. So this is a good point. Okay, so we are not married with any kind of software platform. We can read all of them. So this is the interface of Open BIM Quantities. And here we have a really basic interface. First tip, if you want to use in a right way, in a optimal way, our solutions, have a look to the top left and then follow this arrow, you know, going from the left to the right. And this is the, you know, the general workflow we are trying to share with our customers. Okay, here we can see, you know, a kind of tree, and here we can see all the different entities that the software has identified in these BIM models. Then we have a BIM viewer, and here some other spaces to visualize extra data. Let me show you how it works. So here, this is the viewer. We have different possibilities. We can have different perspectives. We can make some sections in order to have a look at what we have inside, even from the other side, if we want, clicking 2 times in the arrow. Then we have different possibilities of, you know, viewing, of navigating in the model, and also visualizing the information of the different elements. You know, we can put it in transparent or different options. Okay, then if we go here, IFC, I don't know, doors, we can select directly, or let me show you IFC walls. We can select all the walls we have in my project. If we click here, we can visualize all the different types of walls we have in my project. Let's say, okay, these ones, or this one, or I don't know, these ones. So here we have different types of elements. If I click here, okay, we have these walls, and these are the different entities, the different properties of each wall. So we can have a look here that we can see, okay, this is an IFC wall, the name is this one, and we have a global ID, which is a unique ID for each element. And then we import a lot of data of quantities. So, you know, if we have this data in a BIM model, we don't need to measure it again. This is a good point of working with BIM for generating bill of quantities. You know, the traditional process is, okay, I got the project in CAD or whatever, and I start with the measurement process. So I get some notes, I introduce this data in a kind of Excel sheet or software focus on that part, and in the end I get some results. You know, this is not productivity at all. The good point is that if this information is already there, we just need to make a link with the item. You know, it's just saying, okay, we have a wall, but this wall is I don't know, a brick, or is a concrete block, or whatever. Defining the type of element and the cost of this element. You know, and even we can add new layers like environmental data, waste data, etc. The interesting point is that if we modify that in the BIM model, we don't need to worry about that. The system, the algorithms, will identify this modification automatically. So if the architect modify something in the BIM project in the end of the process, at the end of the process, it's not a huge problem. We just need to update the model and update the calculation. Okay, so, well, I just want to say that we have this information for all the different elements in a BIM model. But okay, so this is the data we have, and now we need to start following the tip I told you before. So let's start with the cost databases. Here I have different cost databases in Spanish, English, French, etc. So you can work in any part of the world. But I don't know, let me show you how to create a new one. So I will create a new cost database, let's say a Novedge database. I can import a database in a BC3 format, which is in the standard focus on this area, you know, quantities. But if we don't have it, we can create it directly in the platform. So Novedge database. Here I will edit it, and I have different possibilities here. You know, general parameters. I want to work with dollar, so I will get the United States dollar. I want to put it in the right or in the left. I want to work with these decimals, so you know, general configuration. Then I can add a new work section, which is, I don't know, 01 facades, for instance, this one. And I can include new items inside. So I don't know, if F001 unit could be square meters, and I can define here if I want a labor, machinery, material, waste generation, or unclassified item. I will use this one. The price will be, I don't know, $15 per square meter. And here I will use, I don't know, ethics system. Yeah, for this one. You know, it's insulation for external walls. You know. So I have a new item here. Then I have the possibility of including new resources. So I can include a new item here, saying, okay, we have here the E001 square meters, and in this case we have materials. The price is $5, and insulation made with I don't know, whatever. Okay, so we have one item, and even I have the possibility of including a new, which is, I don't know, work here 001 is with hours, and labor, and the price is 10, for instance. A worker with this experience, whatever. Okay, so I have this possibility. Even here, I can add new concepts to the breakdown. So I can select, okay, this item is composed by one panel of insulation, 1 square meters, and we have also, I don't know, this worker working 2 hours per square meter. I don't know, it's just one example. And as you can see here, the rate has been automatically calculated according to the definition we have below. Here we have the possibility of defining, I don't know, in this case, all the elements, modifying anything. We can add new description, we can add graphical information, documents, specifications, technical information to consider the environmental data, the waste generated, etc. So we can include a lot of information in my database. Okay, so I will save it, accept, I close it, and now we have our cost database. Next part, we need to specify the measurement rules, a set of measurement rules. So I will create a new one, Novedge Novedge rules, let's say. I can start it an empty set of measurement rules, or I can use the Omni class where we have already all the work section structure defining in this standard. So I can start working with this if I want. In my case, I will create create it from the beginning. So in my case, I will cancel it. Yes. Novedge rules. I will create a new one. Novedge rules empty. Which is this one. And here I have the possibility of creating, the same work structure I have said before. For instance, facade. And I'm going to create, rules for facades. This is the most important part. Well, I just need to define it once in the first project. I can reuse it for all the different projects, but I need to specify to the algorithm which filters we want to apply to the BIM model in order to connect this data to one item. So in this case, I have the possibility of, okay, I want to filter based on this part, the entities, and I have all these entities in my project. So I want to select the IFC wall, okay, IFC walls. And now I will assign one code. So I can select my database, my cost database, and in my case, I have this ethics system I have already defined before. So I will add it to my project. The last thing we have to do, the software already know that we are going to measure it based on square meters. The last thing we have to say to the software is, okay, which parameter do you want to use from the information we got of the BIM model? So let's say I want to work with the net side area or the gross side area. It depends if you want to consider the windows or not. I will use the net side area, for instance. Okay, I accept and I close. So I have applied a filter in order to select all the walls in my project. Okay, so now I can have a look that, okay, I have already got the measure of all the different walls of my project. And I have make a connection with this parameter, this item. If I go to the second tab, bill of quantities, I can update the quantities here based on this cost database. Okay, and this is the global amount I got. I will specify here the dollars again. This is the total amount we have of all the different walls connected to this insulation panel I have defined it. But this is not correct, because in general the solar, the ethics panels are just located in the facades, nor in the interior walls. So we need to specify in a better way the filter. So let's go again to the set of measurement rules, Novedge rules empty, and here I will apply a new rule. As you can see, we have a logical operator in order to say, okay, I want to check this option and this option or this option. So depending if we are complete with one or two, we can make this selection. So now we can go here and we can identify, okay, which parameter we want to use. As you can see here, we have one parameter which is external, and example, we can see that there is a true, or maybe we can use the type name. Let's work with this one, type name. So we have all these type names. I already know if I go here to the CYPE architecture, or even to the Open BIM Quantities viewer, that in my case, this type, EF25, is located in the facades, EF25. So I will specify that I want to get all these type of elements. Accept, I close, and now I have these elements. So these elements have been connected to this item. But I can even include new elements, these ones, and these ones, if I go here, this one is EF25, but here we have also the EF15, these elements. So I can come here again and add a new condition saying that I want to consider this type or this other type. So I am improving the accuracy of my filters. So now the filter has been defined correctly. I go again here to the second tab, and if I update it, this is a real amount. Now I'm not considering the interior walls. This is something we can do for all the different elements, windows, columns, railings, floors, roofs, etc. And we can reuse this data, these filters, for some other projects. In this case, I can come here, and if I go to set of measurement rules, I have already defined this global definition of filters. So as you can see here, we have all these filters, one for beams, another one for toilets, another one for, I don't know, these elements. So we can consider this information, So let's say I want to consider the cost database. We have here this cost database. We have here. We have more items. We have soil growth work, foundations, structural carcassing. We have more information, and then if I go here and I select this one, Intro Open BIM Novedge, I can create the connection with these filters applied. So here, as you can see, we have a measure. We have the green arrow in all these different elements. IFC space. I have used the space for, this part, the lining and sheetings, but also we can apply it to one graphical element, more than one unit, more than one item. This is really important. And once I have defined all of them, I can come here to bill of quantities, update the quantities, and we get the global budget of my project. In this case, we have $500,000, and we can identify, the elevator with this price. We have this roof. We have this furniture, sanitary elements, and so on. Well, this has been done just for the architectural model. But let's say that now we have more models. So now I have the possibility of saying, okay, I have already measured the architectural model, but I want to check now, and I want to measure the structural model. I want to consider the landscape as well. I want to consider the water system, the sanitary system, the solar systems, I don't know, different models we have generated by different projects, Vector World, CYPE, etc. So here you have the possibility of reading all this data from one place and creating the rules in order to measure this data automatically. I know that for the first project, you need to invest some time. in order to specify some filters, even that you can reuse some filters that we have already used in the different examples you can find in the project, in the software. But you need to adapt it to the way you work. But once you have defined them, you can reuse in all the different projects. So you just have to come here to import this data, to make this connection with your rules, and to export and generate the bill of quantities. Something really important is considering the modifications. This is a nightmare. Once you have your quantities defined, the bill of quantities, the architect says that I want to change now. I don't want a concrete structure. I want a steel structure. But and it's going to modify the project constantly. There is no problem. We can update this data, and that's all. Well, here, as you can see in the model, in the viewer, we have different models. We have the architectural model, but we can have a look to the structures model with some data inside. The landscape I have imported. So if we want to make a connection to measure the trees, we can do it. And also, the sanitary systems. If I click here, directly I can go to the IFC entity. In this case, it's a solar device. If I click here, we can go to the IFC tank. So we can have a look to all the different elements, IFC boiler. So, we can visualize all the information and making this link with the cost database. I'm sure many times we will identify some elements that we don't have in our cost database. But as you have already seen, it's really easy to introduce new elements. Let's say that we want to make these connections. So now, again, if I go to the set of measurement rules and I edit some of them, I can create a new rules. I don't know, structural beams. I accept, I make a selection, and now I can visualize all the parameters of all the different IFCs we have in the project. I think this is the general idea. If you know how to work in that way, it's really easy to identify or to manage the workflow. Okay, so more information. I didn't talk about these other options. Bill of quantities included in the BIM. This is related to this part. If I go to one of these projects, or one of these solutions, let me show you. I don't know. Let's go to this software of fire extinguishing, which we can find it here. CYPE fire hydraulic systems. And another tip, if in all the different softwares we have, there is this button, examples. So you can load different examples to help you, to show you how real projects has been solved. So you can consider the different connections, the different information. I will open a hotel project. And here, this is another solution we have. We will talk about that in another moment. But let me show you. This is a BIM model, and we have some elements with some sprinklers and so on inside. But in all our solutions, we have this tab, bill of quantities, in order to generate automatically the bill of quantities of the elements we introduce in this software. So if we already have this bill of quantities in these specific projects, these specific tools, Open BIM Quantities is able to read them and include and import it to generate the global budget. So this is the goal of this option. Then we have some other options in order to improve the user experience. If you prefer to work with items of IFC entities, sorry, you can work with this option activated, but maybe you prefer to work with the structure. So you can consider, you know, all the different IFCs we have with all the different levels. Okay, I want to check the elements of the level 4 and all the beams we have in this level 4. So there are different possibilities to, you know, to generate these options. Then, well, here we have some other options, some other possibilities. We didn't talk about the options of bill of quantities. Here, you know, we have already this structure. We have another trick. We have the possibility of copying this table and copy and paste it in any kind of, you know, Excel sheet or Google Drive sheet or whatever, if we want to share it with some others. We have the possibility also of exporting this data to the BIM server and share it with the other partners. And here we have new options in order to include new items that are not linked to BIM models. So if we want to create, I don't know, one work section, which is, I don't know, W is other costs. We have the possibility of including this data here and including new items that maybe don't have a connection with the BIM model. In the end, we have this option, which is the percentage of BIM that try to help us to identify the percentage of the global budget has been extracted from BIM entities, something that could be quite interesting. Well, here we have some options to filter, to search, to visualize the waste generated, the environmental data. We can add new tags to the different elements in order to filter in an easy way. And in the end, as I showed you before, we have the possibility of generating these reports. You know, this one is priced bill of quantities. So if we generate it, we are saving a lot of time because we are generating a basic template, a basic report with the whole information. But you know, I would like to highlight, to remark again, that the most interesting part here is that anything we change in a BIM model, we or our partners changing in the BIM model, we can update this data automatically here. And I don't know, I don't want to be really bored. You know, if just giving you some other tips, if you work with Revit, we have a plugin, so you can upload the models directly from Revit to BIM Server Center. We have this connection made directly in CYPE architecture, which is our solutions, and in all the solutions you can find in BIM Server. In this case, you have this plugin, you can use it for free. If you want to import this data from any other software like ArchiCAD, like Vectorworks or whatever, we have this other solution, free solution, which is IFC Uploader, that you can use it to upload the data to the BIM server. And then, as you know, you can get this data from OpenBIM Quantities in order to make this connection. So as a summary, to sum up, you know, the main goal of this software is making a connection between the BIM entities with cost items, where we can include some other data, with the good point that if we modify something, that we are making the connection based on filters. So if we are changing something, there is no problem because we don't need to make this link again. The algorithm of filters we apply it, and the connection will be generated automatically. So we can relax and be sure that the connection will be considered automatically. And I think we have 10 minutes in order to solve the different questions you have, and maybe to clarify well, your doubts. So I don't know, Barbara, is...
Yeah. Thank you so much, Pablo. I, for once, am speechless. So, what a great presentation and what a complete solution. We know that CYPE is not very known yet in the United States, I'm really impressed. And you thought really of everything. So we're waiting a few minutes to see if anybody has questions. And I want to thank you because that was very informative. And I also want to remind everybody that Open BIM Quantities is on a special promotional price at Novedge.com. So for a limited time, you can really get the best price in the world. The other thing is that you've seen what Open BIM Quantities can do. You're not familiar, you don't know if you are able to navigate this tool. You can ask us for an extended trial. Just email me, Barbara, at novedge.com, and we can grant you an extended trial. It's not 15 days, it's more than that. It's probably 30 days. So you can really dig into it and see for yourselves. So, Pablo, we have no questions. I'm going to show everybody the page where they can find Open BIM Quantities. The price, as you can see, is very appealing. And visit novedge.com. You can ask us questions. You can ask for the trial. Please do, because it's the best way to get to know a solution. So I want to thank you for attending, and I want to remind you that this webinar is being recorded and will be uploaded on YouTube. Share it, discuss it with your colleagues, discuss it at work. We really believe this is a great solution altogether. We're talking about the entire CYPE software line. So thank you so much, Pablo. It's been a pleasure, and looking forward to more presentations like this one.
Thank you very much, Barbara, and thank you to all the audience. And just as a conclusion, try the workflow, because if you try once, you will repeat, I'm sure. We have a lot of customers really happy with this tool, and they have increased the productivity a lot. So yeah, have a look to that. And thank you very much, and we keep in touch.
Great. Give us a call, get the trial. Bye-bye, everybody. Have a good rest of the day. Bye, Pablo.
Bye. Bye.